Hello there. How's it going? How are we? Beyond belief, how you doing? Terry Hayes, Eddie White, Street Shatter, Nasty Fripples, JC, Burger Max. So I'll give it a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go over the aspects yet again of force, how it acts on matter, what we witness in practical physical tests, then trying to apply that to claims of stationary earths and globe earths, and try and give a simplistic comprehension, because there seems to be so many people who have quite a simple mind and are really struggling with that. Now, don't get that as an attack on you. It's just evident in the reactions that we're getting from people. Again, there's too many people running before they can walk, asking questions about what moves the earth, yada yada. These questions to me are unanswerable. We have to just start with the simple stuff and see how we progress from there. Too many people, as I say, are trying to run before they can even walk. There's so much division that these people are creating. They point the finger at people like myself and say that it's me that's created the division. Look, I have not changed in my position from day one. I am still a realist. I only go with the practical and what the practical can show me. And these people, as far as I can tell, are professing that they are the same. So again, I'm going to simplify it. Now, if they're going to deny the practical demonstrations and they're going to make outlandish claims about our practical reality, then from here on in, I am not interested in any name callings, any hit piece videos. I'm only interested in your real physics and what you've actually demonstrated. If you're going to claim that you've measured the downwards acceleration, then you're going to have a real hard job, and I expect nothing but actual measure. Not only that, I'm going to expect a demonstration of your force that you're going to claim can achieve these far out, outlandish things that you claim. Again, it's very simple, and it's very, understandable that people are going to claim that they feel the earth stationary, yada yada, because to all observers within it, it's fine to make that claim that it feels and appears stationary, right? But how it feels and what you imagine it to be is very different to the physicality of what's actually going on. Now, that would be your own incredulity for you to say the earth seems stationary, so it is stationary, particularly when I'm about to show you why it's not stationary, why it's impossible that it's stationary, So I understand where they're coming from in regards to, it appears to be stationary. Again, we should all know by now, certain things can appear a certain way, but just because they appear a certain way does not mean it's so. I'm going to give you the example of flat earthers and train tracks or horizons. There's many aspects that flat earthers, consider and acknowledge are apparent, like train tracks appearing to converge, going inwards. We all know fine well that as you walk directly and you measure the spacings directly of those parallel lines, that they never converge at any point. So, flat earthers are now stuck in apparent observations, visual interpretations, and they are no different to the globe earth. They profess they have left the globe earth religion, while they have carried on the hangover of the very same reasoning and the very same interpretations that they had when they were globe earth believers. And I'm going to show you that extensively, right? So there's no if, buts, maybes. There's no jumping to arguments about if the earth's moving constantly or if the earth's accelerating, what's making it move, yada yada yada. Look, you have to stick to the point. If you're a globe earther and you're a stationary earther, you have a default position that there's a physical downwards acceleration. End of story. So that's where we're at. That's what you have to address to see if that's actually the case, because it's your model, right? Now, I can make the statement the earth's demonstrably in motion upwards relative to us, and I can justify that as I'm about to do right now. If you follow along, it's very, very simple, and you can demonstrate these things to yourself. Okay? So, We shall begin very, very shortly. Yes, beyond belief. They're all focused on my tattoos. You know, I've seen a video this morning. I'm a gatekeeper, I'm a mason, I'm a Jesuit, I'm all this emotional diatribe, right? And then followed by that, this same person then proceeds to drop a plastic toy and a rock from a set of ladders. No different to Neil deGrasse Tyson and the globe earth, right? As their proof of downwards acceleration. Again, they're too incredulous, they do not pay attention, they don't analyse their own reasoning, they don't use critical discernment, they're not critical with their own thought processes, they just emotionally erupt and spew embarrassing, cringy nonsense. Right? It's an absolute joke, it's a farce. You know, stationary flat earth is a psyop. Right? Now, they're talking about people like me. Anybody that's here, right, you'll be very well aware that this is a very, very tiny minority now, because the majority of people are too emotionally reactive. They're too emotionally invested in their stationary earth or their globe earth, right? But they're pointing the finger at people like me who are only offering practical physics, right, and saying that we are the controlled opposition, right? Now, anybody that's aware, anybody with any sensibilities whatsoever, knows fine well that's not how it operates. The vast majority are stationary earth, ice walls, domes, maps and models, yada yada. That's the psyop. That's what's being pushed en masse. That's why the globe earth wants to debate with that nonsense ideology. Okay? That's where the psyop is. False dichotomy, globe earth, stationary flat earth. That's where they're all arguing with each other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? That's not us. This has not permeated the flat earth movement over the last decade, has it? No. What's been the prominent pushed agenda narrative? That's right, stationary flat earth, ice walls, domes, and all the representatives that have been here for the last decade who continue to get mainstream, you know, attention out there on TV shows, with celebrities, on radio stations and yada yada. No me. Nothing to do with the motion of the earth. That's not getting mainstream, you know, attention. So these people show you how delusional and how retarded they actually are when they make these sort of statements. Right? What sort of influence am I going to have? I'm not getting mainstream attention. I'm not on the TV speaking to celebrities. Right? So, this nonsense about us being controlled opposition, right, whatever, you know, if you want to deny the practical physics that's been shown to you, that's fine. But that's your emotional response. There's no need to derp out and start calling us psyops and gatekeepers and this, that and the other, because it's just not true, is it? Where has this presence been in the last decade? Nowhere. What's been the majority of the presence over the last decade? That's right. All your mainstream characters who are still here, pushing nonsense about ice walls and stationary and final experiments and this, that and the other. No me. Double derp, yes, Realm Walker, double derp. Divergent Droid, the only person that's ignorant is yourself, I'm afraid. Yeah, exactly, Steve HV. Stationary flat earth, domes, ice walls, AE maps, Gleason maps are all strawman fallacy propaganda, disinfo maps and models. Exactly. You know? And then in the other turn, you've got flat earth proponents who are shouting that it's infinite. You've got ones that are shouting that it's a simulation. You've got ones that are saying that it's a, you know, halos under the ground and rainbows and halos in the sky. There's big magnets under the earth and this. I mean, they're all in a big melting pot, all happy to discuss all that nonsensical gibberish with each other. But people like me who are out here in the real world, William, Andrew, Jai, see all these people here showing you practical physics, talking about the real world practical physics, we're shunned while the finger's being pointed at us. Well, these people all sit in a melting pot of hypothetical, fantastical gibberish. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I'm glad that there's a distance happening, because I do not want to be associated with these people in any way, shape or form. I hope that it does go mainstream and these sorts of people are put up there for the public ridicule that's going to come their direction. Because if you go into the real world, again, I don't see stationary earthers going out into the real world talking about relative density disequilibrium or all matter accelerates uniformly, derp, derp, derp. Where is their presence in that regard? Nowhere. Or sitting on interwebs, spewing nonsense, acting the big shot, with fuck all of reality to support their position. I'm going to make a smoke and then I'm going to get to this. So for people at Divergent Droid, I mean, they could learn if they actually pay attention, right? Because it's very simple and it's undeniable. All they have to do is listen to what's being said, go straight away and test it for yourself, and then lo and behold, you will be in reality, not a reality denier, you will be here prominent and present in reality as it actually is. Yes, to true science I've made a massive contribution, T-Bone, because I'm highlighting this, the pseudoscience that's permeating the mainstream, that's been taught to children, gullible, innocent children in schools who are being fed absolute gibberish about magical forces and fucking rotating, gyrating testicles and vacuums with magic surrounding it. That's a contribution I'm making, son. Engineers, practical physics has gave the world loads of stuff. Heliocentric cosmologies, space fantasy stories of our existence and yada yada has contributed nothing. Nobody has gained anything from the narrative that Earth's a globe. Nobody. So what are you talking about? That's right. Fuck all. Talking shite. Again, I'm here. Email me, abchao77@gmail.com. Stationary flat earthers, globe earthers, concave earthers, anybody claiming they're anything, come and have a direct discussion if you're capable. But again, they don't. They run away making hit piece videos and sitting in little echo chambers spewing nothing but hatred from their emotionally unstable, retarded fucking mentality. No equipped to come to the table and have an actual discussion. None of them. Exactly, JC, these people will say, what's making your earth move and what's this? So to the stationary flat earthers, what's your earth sitting on? What sustains it? What gives rise to it? Because it was laughed at when I suggested that it's the prime mover. To me, the prime mover, the creative force behind reality, is here and present and sustains it continuously. So the motion of the earth, what gives matter its form, what gives all this order to it, is the prime mover. God, if you like, call it whatever you want. I'm not a religious man. I have no affiliation to any man-made conceptions of what God is, what the prime mover is, but I'm in a contained design system and motion. That's as far as I know. So it's the same question that can be put to anybody. What gives rise to your reality? What sustains it? Where's your stationary earth? What does it occupy? What's it sitting on? How does it work? It doesn't mean anything. These are questions of the insecure, emotionally retarded, who are wriggling and trying to find a way out of accepting reality. Again, the proper process is to establish what's going on from each moment in time. I establish how a force acts. How does matter behave under the conditions of a force? Right? And then I can witness an air bubble rising and establish that the motion or the force is coming from beneath us. Right? And that's as far as it goes. I don't need to answer anything else. So, let's establish a few things for the mentally challenged, okay? So, what we're talking about, first and foremost, we have to talk about what force does, right? So when we have matter, let's just say we've got a piece of matter, right? Matter is inert, has no volition, has no consciousness, has no internal drive, has nothing. It's dead, inanimate matter. Now, if matter was to move in a particular direction, let's say this direction, right, then we know for a fact that if matter moves, something external to the matter must have acted upon it, that being pushed it in a particular direction. So if we witness it going to the right, we know fine well that there's an external force acting on it, pressing on it, pushing it to the right. And that's the same in any other direction. Okay? So, we should comprehend that. Now let's look at this. So what we have here is a vessel with liquid in it and air. Now Andrew's demonstrating what happens under conditions of acceleration, and I will come back to the whiteboard and talk about that in a little second. So as you can see, very clearly, that as the force is applied in the left to right direction, the air bubble will correlate to that motion, and you will see it travel the direction of the motion. Now here outside, as the vessel is held on the earth and in the vertical position, we can see clearly that the air bubble is rising. Now remember what we established, right? So we understand that matter doesn't move on its own, right? So let's get a little vessel. Right, so now we've got the vessel and we've got water in here. Right, and now we've got an air bubble. And that air bubble is rising. It's in an upwards trajectory. Right? So as we've established, matter does not move of its own volition. Okay? Has no internal combustion engines, has nothing about it that can cause it to move in any direction whatsoever. It's dead, inanimate matter. So as we witness an air bubble rising through the water, we can then logically, rationally, practically conclude that there must be something pressing upon the air bubble, which in this case would be the medium. So the medium now is causing a compression or a push on that air and is displacing it upwards. So then we have to then address the next part. Well, what's pushing on the water? Because remember, matter cannot move of its own volition, is not a force, can't do anything. It can only react to force, which is external to it. So in this case, the air bubble, the external factor is the water surrounding it, which is pushing it in a particular direction. So then we have to conclude or ask the question, well, what's pushing the water then to act on the air? In this case, it would be the container. As the container is in motion in that direction, it causes the same compression to the fluid within it because of inertia, resistance to motion, right? So now we know that the vessel now is in a particular motion because it has to be to press on the water to make the air bubble move. Okay, so let's think about it in a stationary earth. Very same scenario. We'll forget that we already have an orientation to the air in the water here, which is the air here and the water here, right? And now we've got a bubble in it. So, on a stationary earth, we would be witnessing an air bubble rising through the medium. Now, we all know that nothing about the air can make it move itself. There has to be an external factor. So, what's causing it? What kind of responses do we get? What would they say? What would you theorise would be the cause of the air bubble moving in a direction? They would say something like, it's the relative density between the object and the medium. Okay, that tells us absolutely nothing, because we know that air density is less than the medium that it's in, but surrounding the ball of air is the same density. The water is the same density in every direction. So why would it move in a particular direction, in reality's case, up the way? What is the water doing? How does it know which way to tell the air to go? This is where people should start realising the problem. Because the water is inanimate, it's inert, has no volition, has no ability to move, cause directions. So what's then telling it to move? Nothing. Doesn't work. It's nonsense. Again, if they're going to say, oh, it's just the medium, it's just the medium. Well, why doesn't the medium tell it to go in that direction? What is it about the medium that's telling it to go up the way? Because remember, we've established in actual reality that it's the container that's causing a compression on the fluid, the liquid, that's then telling the air which direction to go in. Because it's a knock-on effect. It's a cause and effect relationship that we can all recreate. Right? And we know that's what's happening. So it doesn't matter now if I now accelerate it in the opposite direction, and this is the problem. If I accelerate it downwards, right, I now get the water orientated here and air here. Not only that, what I now get, as I'll show you in the little examples, is the air bubble now wants to travel in that direction. Okay? Because under conditions of true acceleration, this is what we witness. So we've got various problems here with the stationary flat earth model and the globe earth model. Right? For one, in the stationary flat earth model, they have nothing to tell air or density which direction it has to go in. As I say in the air bubble example, the density of the medium surrounding it is equal in all directions. If I was to fill that right up, so now it's a completely filled vessel of water right to the very brim, right? And that air bubble's now right in the centre. That means that the density is the same, equal in every direction surrounding it. So you hear fluffy duffy phrases from certain morons like Sovereign Soul Unchained. Yes, the medium either rejects or accepts. Yada yada yada. Fluffy duffy words that have no sense whatsoever. So, in reality, we all witness the air bubble rises upwards. So the medium's rejecting the air. Why is it rejecting it upwards? Why does it not reject it to the side or down? It's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Matter cannot move of its own volition. It cannot act upon other matter unless it's in motion. But you're not claiming it's in motion, you're claiming it's stationary. Right. Now it gets even worse. So let's get back to this video before I come back to that. You can see, just as before it goes to the downwards acceleration, let me just slip back again. You can see the compression, right? You can see the flattened out part of this, telling you the force is acting in that direction. Now, as Andrew actually accelerates down, we're going to witness reality again. Look. As Andrew accelerates it downwards physically, you get an inversion. The air now inverts and wants to go the opposite direction, and the flat spot's now at the top. Right? It's now accelerating downwards, because this is what happens in true conditions of true, real world, practical, demonstrable, actual acceleration. Now, Free fall. This is free fall now, where there's no actual physical downwards acceleration. You can see that the bubble has went to a sphere shape, no force acting in any direction. And this is where we get more massive problems, more claims and pleadings for special circumstances that are non-demonstrable. Because in a globe earth world and in a stationary flat earth world, at this point here, what's being claimed now, contrary to what we've just witnessed, which is actual downwards acceleration, there's a claim of downwards actual acceleration without any sort of displacement. So, now they want to plead that in this case, where we have water and we have an air bubble, right? I'll just say that's an air bubble. I've not got my mouse isn't on a fucking pad, right? Now they're claiming that it's an acceleration downwards. So that now means that the vessel, the air, the water and the air bubble are all now accelerating towards the ground without any sort of displacement occurring, which is contrary to all examples of actual acceleration. See? When acceleration's at play, we get displacement. Okay? So practically, we can conclude that when we see a motion like this of an air bubble rising, we know that the force must be acting in that direction. Stationary flat earthers want you to believe that the force is acting downwards, that there's something causing a downwards acceleration, but there's no inversion, that being that the water now goes to the top and the air's now at the bottom, and that the air is not travelling through the water going the direction that the force is going in. These are claims that contradict, that fly in the face of actual reality. Again, me the gatekeeper, operating from actual reality. They're claiming this is what's happening in reality. Again, everybody watching this right now can test exactly what I've said. Go and get yourself an accelerometer and accelerate it downwards and you will detect the acceleration. If you use an analogue vessel like water and air in a contained system and accelerate it, you will witness that displacement in every single scenario. Now, when we actually accelerate upwards, so now we've got this air bubble which has a flattened out bottom, right, showing us the direction that it's travelling in, which is that direction, right? And we now accelerate that vessel upwards, right? We now accelerate physically that vessel upwards. What happens? Lo and behold, the rate that the air bubble's rising through the medium increases. It gets faster because that rate of acceleration, more force, is now present, causing a greater compression, i.e. a greater resistance, inertia, which is causing a greater compression of the medium here, pressing on the air, pushing it outwards at a quicker rate. So this fluffy duffy talk of, oh, the medium accepts and rejects, no, the medium doesn't do anything. It can only react to the forces acting upon it. So in this scenario, actual acceleration causes a greater compression, which in turn causes a greater increase in the rate of the acceleration of the air bubble through the medium. Very simple. So now as you witness this, you can tell at any moment which direction the force is going in. So right now we know the force is going up the way, and if you see that bubble change its direction and go down the way, you know then that Andrew's now accelerating the system in that direction. If the bubble ceases in its momentum, its motion through the medium, and turns into a sphere and stays in its relative position to the medium that it's within, you know then that there's no force acting on it. Right? An inversion of the buoyancy and density gradient, where this appears to be going down, this is actually going up. And when the vessel is accelerated downwards, what happens? That ball bearing appears to want to go towards the sky, and the air bubble, which is the actual true motion, moves through the medium in the direction that the force is going in. You can test this yourself. You will witness the same results every single time. So now you have to apply that to claims. Downwards acceleration that's not detected, that shows no signs of acceleration in the downwards vector. The air and the water remain in their relative positions to each other. As soon as it hits the ground, whoosh, the motion again ensues, because the earth is the force. The earth's push is what gives us the gradient and gives us what we call buoyancy and density. It's the earth's force, the earth's push. If you think you can conclude some other way, good luck. Because you're going to end up derping out, like I've explained here, where you're now going to have to appeal to some nonsense, some force that's not known to man, that can accelerate gas, liquids and solids. So say we've got a liquid in here, right, and this is a liquid here, and we now accelerate that vessel in that direction, right? We know fine well that what's going to happen is that the liquid is now going to be orientated in the vertical, like that, against this wall with the air here. And that's true in any direction that you accelerate. But they want you to accept and think, you know, that they've got some sort of buy, which is the bit that I just can't comprehend, why they think that that's somehow okay to think that that's what's going on, because they have nothing practical to support their position. You cannot accelerate the accelerometer in a direction without it displacing and showing the orientation of the force. They want you to accept that it's all accelerating down while the water stays here at the bottom, which is again contrary to what we can witness. The water doesn't stay at the bottom if you accelerate down, it moves to the top. So they now have a force acting downwards, right, that doesn't display what we witness on every other occasion. Not only that, when it's on the earth, we've now got an air bubble rising upwards against their downwards vector, which is preposterous. So now you've got a double action going on. You've got a force acting down while air rises against the force. Preposterous. At no point can you demonstrate force acting on a vessel like that and have the air go against the direction of travel. That's no reality, I'm afraid. I don't care how simple you think your mind is, you should be grasping this. Come back to that. I'm going to stop screen sharing to see where I'm at. Again, send an email, abchao77@gmail.com. Stationary flat earthers, globe earthers, concave earthers, anybody who claims downwards acceleration. Because you're wrong. Reality has shown that you're wrong. And at this point, every single one of these people is an active reality denier. Yes, I do talk calmly and honestly, deep inside the rabbit hole. You're just coming straight in here trying to antagonise me with the ad hom. Why don't you come in and have a chat with me, Dave? Eh? Stop running about on mainstream TV professing the Earth's stationary when it's demonstrably not stationary. Demonstrably not stationary. Do you not comprehend physics? It's very simple. I have explained it very concisely. I have backed it with practical physics. There is no way, the only way that you can wriggle out of this is to actively be a reality denier. And you're becoming very, very apparent. Maybe you're just a bit confused, and I'm always willing to give that leeway. It's up to you, Dave. You can come in and have a chat with me. Everybody can see how I conduct myself in actual reality and speak to genuine, real people. When I'm on here, this is my platform and I express in a way that for me gets the point across. This is what I'm used to, this is what I'm comfortable doing. If you speak to me with manners and that your approach is logical and rational and you have respect, you get the very same in return. There's no need to try and antagonise. We're talking about objective reality. Claims should be backed by practical physics. It's very, very simple. Exactly, Andrew. His position's that weak they can't even present their case. It doesn't matter what way they go, they're going to have to appeal to some magical type of acceleration, where the gas, the liquid and the solid can all be accelerated towards the earth. When we actually accelerate it towards the earth, we witness what happens. Now they're going to say things like, that's faster than the rate of fall. Well, from stationary to moving is an acceleration. It doesn't matter. In any case, you're going to get that displacement happening. But we don't witness that in free fall. So it's not accelerating downwards. It's a visual interpretation that it's going down. I'll let him speak. Let him come in. Let me check and see if I've got any emails. Because the thing is, Dave, deep inside the rabbit hole and all the other flirts, it's not going to go away. I ain't going away. The people who know this and can grasp it they're not going to go away. And the more and more that you stationary guys go on and on talking gibberish, the more it's going to be obvious to people. And I don't have any emails. It's none. What a surprise. They'll just use the excuse, oh, he's got a loud voice and I can't understand his Scottish accent and stuff. Weak nonsense. I see right through them. I see you. I can see right through you. Reality wins every single time. Claiming you're objective and you're a truther, but yet you ignore real world physics is baffling to me. So what's Dave going to say in the situation of it in freefall? Again, it's simple what they have to say. The bottle, the liquid and the air bubble are all accelerating down at the same rate, which is a contradiction to reality. It's that simple. This is no my bias, this is no my position, this is the position of your reality. It's not about winning people over by your word salad. Reality wins every single time. Dave Hinkle, honest question, are we entirely ignoring the human vestibular system? We all have that sense, no motion. Dave, what would you expect to sense Again, I'm going to give you leeway here, Dave, because again, you're just skipping over real world physics of accelerometers and acceleration that's shown clearly. It's not a trick, it's no CGI, it's real. Go and test it yourself. There's no detection of acceleration downwards. So, Dave, what would you expect that your vestibular system would be experiencing? I've never had an answer. Exactly, JC, but this is the incredulity of these people. Your vestibular system already is an accelerometer detecting your orientation. So there's a displacement of the liquid in there that's levelled so that you know your direction. So when you come off of that vector, your vestibular system detects that motion and tells you that you're off the vector, off the plumb. Just like a bottle of water sitting with flat water on it and air above it. It's telling you the direction the force is going in. Canadian Bacon, if an object is thrown in the air, it starts to decelerate because. So in a vacuum, why would that object decelerate? This is the problem, Canadian Bacon. Because too many people are borrowing and don't even realise that they're borrowing from a psyop philosophical position. That reality, matter. So if I've got this object here and you remove me and you remove the air and you remove the earth, people think that all that exists around it is a vacuum. I don't. Because that's nonsense. Matter is given rise from something else and sustained from something else. I don't subscribe to the idiotic philosophical position that surrounding matter, that there's nothing. Matter just exists independently of its own and surrounding it is nothing. So if I take the air away, what's there? Nothing. Yes, Nachiketa, ankle bite and say ridiculous things like clouds, Nathan Jokley, parachutes, David Idiotic Banner, birds, but they can't address the simple question about how water falling does not displace. How pathetic and sad this has become. It's incredibly cringy, Nachiketa. It is embarrassing. Really embarrassing. These people have just fell into the psyop trap, the narrative that the motion of the earth's a psyop, it's a psyop, and they're no discerning, they're no thinking about their own position, their own model. They're listening to these gurus. See, you know, it's really problematic when trying to discuss these things because, as I keep saying, you know, in that example, you have to ask people, do you theorise that at the base of reality there's a vacuum? So if I remove the air from the world right now, do people believe that there's nothing there? Nothingness? It's absurd. Yet again, they don't realise they're borrowing. They've got a hangover from mainstream physics. Axioms that have been created, quoting Newton and quoting this, that and the other, who operate from axiomatic positions that at the base of reality it's a vacuum. That's not how I see it. That's absurd to me. Nature abhors a vacuum. So the base of reality is something that gives rise to reality, sustains reality. These people have the absurd notion that reality popped into existence from nowhere and is given rise to by no thing. This is why they talk about objects in motion, because you're operating from a philosophical paradigm that you don't even comprehend. People like Jimmy Too Fast too dumb to comprehend the position that they're arguing from. I don't know if Dave's just on this path that his ego cannot allow him to admit that he was wrong, and that there's things here that have to be addressed and looked at. Again, Dave, I'm going to simplify it for you. You're requesting a special type of acceleration that's not demonstrable, the same as a globe Earth. Globe Earth has the very same claim. Uniform downwards acceleration of gas, liquids and solids in lockstep that's not detecting an acceleration, but it is accelerating. It's incredibly dumb, Dave. Stop repeating it, son. Maybe you are incredulous and you don't actually comprehend what it is you're claiming. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Only Dave and people like Dave know. Aye, Discord, I'll send you the link to the Discord if he wants to come in there. Let me see here. It's not coming up DITRH. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that. That's a direct invitation. I mean, if they're being genuine, you would think the fact that there's an increasing amount of people who are rational, logical, engineer-minded, who are talking about this now, right? You know, the narratives of gatekeeping or Jesuits, that's just emotionally empty nonsense. It has no quality to it. There's nothing to substantiate these sorts of narratives. Deal with the content. You and your ilk are claiming a sort of acceleration where the acceleration is not detectable other than optically. So we observe a change. And the interpretation is, from your incredulity, that the object actually moved through three-dimensional space from a stationary position and accelerated to the Earth, and nothing displaced within it. The liquids in it don't. Yet if I actually accelerate it, what actually happens is that when I accelerate it down, the liquid now is up here and the air is here. And if I've got an air bubble rising through it and I accelerate it down, the air bubble now starts to travel in that direction, because under conditions of acceleration, 100% of the time when the force is present and active, the air correlates to the direction that the force is going in. This is the world. How can anybody deny this? It is amusingly baffling to me. It's blatant reality denial. There's no other words to put to it. It's blatant reality denial. Well, I'm willing to give everybody that opportunity, scheme cost, but you know, and my short fuse is based on the amount of nonsense that I've had to put up with over the last few years in regards to this. You know, and I forget sometimes that maybe sometimes people just are having to comprehend what's going on and maybe don't comprehend their own position and yada yada, which is fine. But to come from that incredulous position and then start making assertive statements about nonsensical gibberish, I find it hard to resolve the type of mind that would do such a thing. Yes, Augustus Palazzo, that's exactly it. I mean, it's not really that difficult. It's simple. Accelerometer, what happens under conditions of acceleration. This is what happens under conditions of acceleration, including downwards and upwards, every vector. Now we go to the claims of the cosmologies of the world, globe Earth, stationary flat Earths, concave Earths, of claims of downwards acceleration. Then we go into the world and we test what happens to see if there is an acceleration, and the accelerometer shows for us that there is no detection of any acceleration in the vector that they are claiming, but yet they still want to claim it. You have to ask the question, why are they persistent in pushing that sort of narrative? I get deeply suspicious. It moves beyond the point of incredulity, especially when it's explained, and especially when they can go and test it for themselves. And they come back with narratives of the vessel, the air and the water are all accelerating at the same rate. How did you come up with that? What practical physics is that based upon? Oh, that's right, nothing. Let me just sort out this. Do I see here? Sorry, I'm just making sure that I let these people in there. So these people that I've just let into Discord, Nellis, you can do the stuff with making them a member and then explain that they'll have to leave and come back in if they want to speak. Is that alright?
Yeah, sure.
Nice one. I'll just mute on here so that I'm not interrupting the conversation there. And I'll come back to the Discord in a little minute.
Alright, let's see. What do we got here?
Right.
So, right, it's Glasgow and Malcolm, I guess?
Right, I'm just going to leave that Discord for a second.
I thought Malcolm was already a member.
Run the Discord, Nellis?
Well, yeah, I created it, that's why.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right, I'll come back in there. Right, just bear with me. I'm going to jump to the toilet, be back in a wee second. Right, where are we at? So, again, all this nonsense, I laugh at statements like, the medium rejects and accepts and stuff that, they talk about matter as if it's some sort of personality and has, some directives within it that tells it what to do. These people are really, lost in the dirt, right? Matter does not act by its own volition. It can only move when something external acts upon it. Okay? It's that simple. So, notions of, the medium accepts and rejects, it's so cringy. It's embarrassingly cringy listening to these people who, are claiming they're flat earthers, who I'm supposed to be associated with. I'm telling you, I do not want any part of any of these people whatsoever. If they continue to make these sort of claims, the world is going to laugh at you. Because I'm laughing at you. I'm a practical guy. Many practical people comprehend this. Anybody out there, you don't have to be an expert. You can go and test exactly what's been presented to you here and witness what happens. Then you will know it for yourself, and then you can identify who the actual gatekeepers are, who the divisive people are, the people that are hell-bent on keeping you from comprehending your reality. I do not know what's making the earth move. I do not know the earth's true trajectory. I know none of that stuff. All I know is that through practical physics I can establish that when we witness an air bubble rising, when we see water levelled and air above it, and air rising through the water, we know conclusively through practical physics, demonstrably so, that the force is the earth pushing on us. Facts. Unless, of course, you're going to lend yourself to all sorts of imaginary nonsense. Right, motion is a logical default position. It's not only logical, it's your logic is backed by the practical. Where it becomes illogical is when people do not have the practical to support their position, and they start making otherworldly claims about matter and how it can behave, and they don't have anything practical to support their position. So stationary, globe earth, concave earth, they all require actual downwards acceleration, which does not exist in reality. Ergo, none of their models are true. It's that simple. This is the sort of thing, exactly, Nachiketa. But what are we flying upwards into? And they think that disputes the demonstrations. It's their attempt to evade the demonstrations. They do not want to take accountability for their own model, their own position. They keep running away asking other questions that are irrelevant. The claim is physical downwards acceleration. The tests show no actual physical downwards acceleration, and that the motion or the force is acting in that direction, backed by real-world practical physics. The rest of it is up for investigation. But at no point do you get a buy from that practical, demonstration part by asking irrelevant questions about some other factor of the motion of the earth. That does not negate the practical physics and what it's actually showing you. Yes, Angela, when the Earth stops, that's when the reset happens and we all hit the roof. Exactly. Oceans, land, anything that's not tethered down properly is going to continue in its momentum. And it's going to be an absolute disaster. So they're all running about in a frenzy, thinking that because they're asking questions about other aspects and there's no an answer for it, again, that negates, that they have to bring it back to the actual claims. The claims are downwards acceleration. That's it. You're claiming nonsense, you're claiming things contrary to practical physics, the real world. So take it from there and take responsibility for what it is you're claiming. Don't point the finger at me and blame me for your position. It's not my fault. I didn't ask you to buy into the PSYOP. Me and Marty made videos very early on in this, actively discouraging people from adopting these models and stuff that were being pushed out there. Ask questions of claims. Seek to test the claims and see what you find for yourself. It's that simple. See what's happening in the Discord.
Good tactic to tell them what your intentions are, because they get fucking antsy about people who, just want to go their own way, unfortunately.
A year and a half and no crime's been reported on my part, so how can I be breaking any laws if nobody ever reports a crime?
Just checking in, guys. Sorry for interrupting to see if anybody's here that's asking questions or what's going on.
Got a bunch of guys here.
Yeah, how's it going in here? Are they quiet? Are they anybody speaking? Are they just?
Yeah, nobody has said anything yet.
Right. You were still talking on YouTube, right, Del? I think they were mostly listening to you, possibly.
Yeah,
Hear the show.
I'm still on YouTube. Yeah, I've got this running in the background, so everybody can hear you guys right now.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm just here to hang out and listen. That's all.
No worries.
Del, do you know, real quick before we change the subject, do you know why they call Asia and Europe two continents? Because so far it's just like because of the people, like political. But I mean, ain't it one landmass?
It depends what parts of Asia you're talking about, Brian.
I just mean like, remember the other day when we were talking, I found out Greenland was a part of North America because it's totally surrounded by water. It's pretty big. I was just wondering what continent do they consider it a part of, and told me it's in North America. So then I got to thinking, well, what about Europe and Asia? Because that's one big landmass. I do realize it's different walks of life and politically different, but
I don't want to derail. I don't want to derail. The topic that's at hand right now, Brian. To be honest with you, I want to give people the opportunity. I'll mute on here. You guys can talk about whatever you want, but for the purposes of the live broadcast, I just wanted to see if there was anybody here. Any of these stationary or globe earthers or concave earthers in here right now. If there is, could you speak up? Just as I thought. Amazing that, innit? Fucking amazing. Right, I'll let you guys get back to chatting and I'll go back to the YouTube thing. I'll come back in.
Okay, Del.
What a fucking surprise. No, YouTube, I'm bored of fucking stationary flares and globe earthers talking nonsense. That's what I'm bored of. I'm never going to get bored of reality and what it's shown and demonstrating for me. Never. I get bored of listening to illogical morons professing that they're truthers and woke and discerning and all that. Well, they stand there fucking stating the earth stationary with magic uniform downwards acceleration that's not detectable. That's what's boring. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Evel is trying to get in. Trying to get in where? On the Discord? Kenny, right, there we go. I'm going to drag him in. He should be in there now. So I've just dragged him into the Discord bit, so he's in. What is that? Am I being notified? Is this relevant to me about this guy? I had to reduce the thingy of it because I was getting a serious lag. Alright, no worries, Ice Poseidon. Cool, I'll let him in anyway. That may be that acceleration guy. Let me see here. Everybody's silent in the Discord.
Malcolm is asking for.
Malcolm.
Yeah, it's confusing because it's a different account. He said he's using a different email, but it's the same guy apparently. Same avatar.
Where is
Oh yeah, there we go. Member. I made him a member now.
Cool.
But he just said he doesn't want to speak right now. Just want to in the future. Don't know what's going on.
Alright. I mean, I think it's very, very telling that we've got all these people postulating and bumping their gums, but yet when the push comes to shove, where are they?
Yeah.
I just put out a couple invites, man. We'll see if I can get some competition.
It's no me they're in competition with, Brian, it's reality.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I didn't invite any knuckleheads or nothing like that. Like I didn't invite Eddie Nash's Shield or somebody like that. But there's a few people that are, they got a chance to. I would like to hear what they have to say.
Aye. Well, that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, giving people an opportunity. But it's always the same, They profess this, that and the other, you give them the opportunity and all of a sudden they go silent.
You got somebody. Who's that?
Where?
Jesse Pav of Light. Let me see if I remember or not.
Yeah, that's one of the invites I sent. He's pretty cordial. He's a demonstrable type of dude too. I think he's a Glover. He's definitely a Glover.
Oh, good. Good.
Okay, Jesse Path of Light. I've made you a member. If you leave and come back again, you can speak. There we go.
Good morning.
Hello there.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Enlighten us.
What's that?
I just said enlighten us.
Yeah, go for it. You're here to talk about something, obviously. What would you like to talk about?
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm actually eating breakfast and I got the invite and I hopped on in before the invite expired.
No worries.
We just started. If you want to come back after you eat breakfast, Jesse.
I got to get to work after I eat breakfast, but is it alright if I listen in mostly and then I come back another time when I I'd hate to smack and talk at the same time.
That doesn't bother me, but whatever floats your boat, I'm easy.
Eat between mouthfuls, man. Come on, you can do it.
It's no big deal, Jesse.
I got one question, Jesse, if you don't mind. Do gravitational fields exist in your mind, in your world?
Well, I did the Cavendish, and there seems to be something that approximately matches F equals mm or GMM over R squared. So I don't know if you want to call it a field or a force field, but there seems to be something that does cause two masses to try to move towards each other based on their amount of mass and their distance.
I would like to ask you, never mind the Brian's question, no offence Brian, to me it's irrelevant. Jesse, do you believe that there's physical downwards acceleration?
Can you say that again?
Do you believe that there is physical downwards acceleration on the Earth?
Physical downwards acceleration on the Earth?
Yes, when I let an object go, does the object accelerate towards the Earth?
Oh, yeah.
So you believe that it has a vector that it moves from the position I held it at towards the Earth, correct?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Why do we not detect that acceleration?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, if you take a heavy object and lift it up and let go, it does accelerate towards Earth, right?
That's just your optical interpretation. We can all observe a change happens, but that's not the question. Nobody denies that there's a change. But, if you believe that the object actually physically accelerates down, and then we utilise things like accelerometers, the accelerometer does not detect that downwards acceleration. Why?
Well, under what conditions does it not detect it?
Claimed downwards acceleration. So here's the thing, Jesse. If I actually physically accelerate something downwards, I get a detection of that acceleration. Now, in the globe Earth and the stationary flat Earth worldviews, there's a claim of actual downwards acceleration, but the accelerometer does not detect said acceleration. Why would that be?
You mean like if the accelerometer itself is in free fall?
Yes.
Because of the way the accelerometer works? Do you know how an accelerometer works?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have an accelerometer in free fall, you're basically using both the accelerometer and its internal mass as a differential accelerometer in a zero differential acceleration situation, right?
No. An accelerometer works because when force is applied, force cannot act simultaneously in various states of matter in order to accelerate them as uniform solid, one uniform piece. Force cannot act like that. The reason an accelerometer works is on that very fundamental premise, that when force is applied, we get a displacement between the materials because force cannot act simultaneously on various states of matter in order to accelerate them in a lockstep. So, I don't know what you're talking about.
So are we in agreement that an accelerometer works by measuring the force differential between a free floating or between a suspended mass and the body of the accelerometer, right?
Let's simplify it, Jesse. If I have a basic accelerometer, a vessel with water in it, that's a basic accelerometer, okay? Correct? You agree?
No.
You don't? So in basic physics classes that they're teaching a basic accelerometer as a vessel with water in it, you don't agree that's an accelerometer?
No, an accelerometer, in the common meaning of the word, is a device which not only detects but measures ratiometrically the acceleration force.
Right.
And the bottle of water does not measure the acceleration force.
So an
It may indicate whether there is one or not, but it does not measure it.
You asked the question about if I knew how an accelerometer worked, and I think it's clear that you don't know how an accelerometer works. Because when force is applied to an accelerometer, whether it's an analog one or a digital one, It works on that principle that force cannot actively accelerate all the components simultaneously. So if you accelerate the containment that holds your parts of your accelerometer, the internal parts remain in their relative positions. So when the external frame is accelerated, there's a displacement between them, and that's the detection of the acceleration. That's how an accelerometer works. Now in free fall, that displacement does not occur while there's a claim of an acceleration.
Well, that's because the whole mass of the accelerometer becomes the weight
So
of the mass of an accelerometer, and the acceleration of the whole unit is the measurement of the acceleration.
right, so the accelerometer then doesn't work in your worldview. You're taking it from an optical position of viewing it from the ground and dropping it. And your interpretation is that it went downwards, but the device itself did not detect such an acceleration in that particular vector. So you're again, I know your position, Jesse. You're claiming that the accelerometer and all its parts are all moving uniformly in one direction, correct? I'm going to take your silence as, acquiescence and acceptance of that factual statement. So,
It just stumped him though.
exactly, because people like Jesse don't realise that you're utilising circular reasoning, where they have an optical interpretation of a phenomena, a change that occurs. Then they want to assert that the accelerometer and all its components all move uniformly in one direction, which flies in the face of real physics, because if I accelerate the accelerometer downwards, I get a detection of that acceleration. Yet in free fall, where there's a claim of downwards acceleration, I don't get a detection of said acceleration. So I've got a claim of acceleration without detecting acceleration, and somehow these people think that it's rational and logical to have such a position, which baffles my brain.
It's possible he's never thought about this. I mean, it's unlikely, but it is possible he's never thought about this.
Well,
It's
A claim
what
of
happened.
constant acceleration while everything
Each.
What happened is, just like I told you, I have to eat breakfast so I can get to work. I can't get to work till I eat breakfast, and you said just answer between bites. You did tell me that, right? To answer between
I
bites.
did, yeah.
And so I was eating, I was chewing, I had my mouth full of bacon and eggs.
We knew-
and
we
here
knew
you
about
go,
that.
look at the silence, yeah, that's just bad faith all around.
I apologize.
So I'm gonna sign off because I do need to eat breakfast, and I don't need to be sit here and insulted because I'm eating because I was told to respond between bites.
Nobody was insulting you, Jesse. Calm down. Nobody
Hey,
insulted
no,
you.
Rad, yeah, we know. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off, and perhaps sometime I'll sign back on, and we can have a good faith discussion. Although,
yeah, Jesse.
it does not look like
Jesse,
anyone
me,
here really
Jesse,
wants that.
Jesse, what it is, give me a shout, and me and you can just have a chat just between me and you, so that there's no interruptions.
Yeah, no, I have to eat now. I can't.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I can't do this between bites when I'm gonna get accused of going silent because I don't have.
No,
the
he
answer.
said, Jesse, he said one day, he said when you get a minute one day, y'all two have a chat.
Oh yeah, invite him to one of the channels or the servers I'm in, Brian, and I'd be delighted to have a chat.
No worries, Jesse. Take it easy. Enjoy your breakfast, mate.
Cheers.
Take it easy.
Sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Have a nice day, man.
Well, that's exactly what was
So
expected.
Dell, most of the Globers, like the ones I debate with, have would you say most of them's heard about this argument and contemplated it?
Well, Brian, we know fine well the attention on the flat Earth thing. So where are all these globers? Where's their responses?
Yeah, I'm waiting on one.
Because
That's why I don't want to just ask anybody. If they already all have no answer already,
Well,
it's kind of a waste of time.
I mean, we're waiting for an answer when we know the answer, because I know their claim and I know their model. And people like that are just going to wriggle and squirm. The reality is that they're going to claim that the accelerometer, in whatever form it's in, is every component accelerates at the same rate, ergo there's no detection of acceleration. I mean, again, how can any rational person think that that's sort of rational, logical position to hold? How can you even utter such a statement? It's preposterous. And again, I have no tolerance for it. They're disingenuous, every single fucking one of them, because I know their model. I'm not some ignorant flerf that doesn't comprehend the globe earth model. I fucking know their model and I know their claims. So the only thing I'm doing is seeing if they've got the gall to actually sit in front of me and start trying to repeat the same shite. What I'm actually looking for is a modicum of fucking decency and honesty from them, which yet I've still to see from a stationary flerf or a globe earther. It just doesn't seem to be in their capabilities to have that honesty. So waiting for a response is pissing in the wind, because I know their response. What other response is there?
I feel you, man. But it is interesting, man. Well, not interesting, but let's say like there's certain questions and that you could ask, like does a gravitational field exist, just to see where their mind's at. And I've got about 5 questions like that they just won't give me a damn straight answer. It's like,
well,
so they have obviously contemplated this or talked about it, because they got to have one and not have one at the same time, kind of, man. So they got to give you some convoluted answer, it seems like. I don't think Jesse...
Gravitational fields. Demonstrate a gravitational field for me and change the vector of your claimed acceleration. Simple as that. It's nonsense. It's pseudoscience. Entertaining them as if they've got some sort of grounds to stand on is what blows me away, because it's a simple claim of acceleration without the detection of acceleration. I don't even need to go to gravitational fields. It's that simple. Their model requires the downwards acceleration. Reality shows that it's not there, so it's end of story. No need to talk about gravitational fields and how they function, because if we want to entertain mathematical concepts and give it relevance and credence, then we're opening up a can of worms. Everybody's mathematical concept and philosophical meandering then becomes relevant. And in an objective inquiry, it's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want to give them any airspace to answer irrelevant questions. You can ask them that, Brian. It's not happening here, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. I hear you. I feel you, Dale. But nobody else joined, I figured. But hey, I've been thinking, man. Remember I told you I was trying to think of some things we could do, like to distinguish the electrostatics from an acceleration. I thought of something interesting, Dale. And it seems like we've already done it, or it's already been demonstrated. But if it's the electrostatic force, okay, let's put the electrostatic hat on for a second. And we say that we can reverse that force. We can reverse the field with a Van de Graaff generator and make things reverse direction. But then, if it is electrostatics that's doing that, wouldn't everything have to rise up at the same rate? So let's just be fair and say everything that is light enough or whatever to rise up. So we should be able to take a small enough piece of like an iron filing, maybe a piece of rubber, piece of plastic, all small enough that they definitely go up. But if they all meet that criteria, if it is electrostatics, shouldn't they all have to go up at the same rate? In other words, if we see things rising up at different rates, I can almost save the time of trying to think of another experiment, because wouldn't that on its face disprove even the possibility that it is that force doing it? You see what I'm saying?
Get them to use electrostatics to accelerate an accelerometer without it detecting the acceleration, because that's their claim. Hold them to the facts of their claim, match for match. Their claim is uniform downwards acceleration without displacement, ergo no detection of the acceleration. Now demonstrate it for us. Simple as that. Whatever vector they want.
I can't think of a way to do it.
Because Brian, we go round in circles, and I go round in circles with you, mate, because it's not real. At what point are you just going to accept that it's not reality? It's impossible.
I'm not, dude. I mean, gotta keep a little teeny percentage of possibility for something you hadn't seen, you know.
All right, so I should keep a possibility that
that's reality. I'm trying to think of ways to demonstrate is all, bro.
Right, well, I should keep an open mind then that pink unicorns farting universes into existence is because people claim that. So, I mean, let's just open myself up to, oh, it's all possible because somebody claims it. That's not how I operate, Brian. I'm sorry, mate.
That ain't what I meant, man. You know what I'm saying? But
No, it's the same thing.
I mean, it still would be helpful, man. It would be helpful to be able to demonstrate the impossibility of it in my eyes.
But how can you demonstrate something that's impossible?
Hold on, my freaking phone's ringing. Hold on.
Hey, buddies. I don't get how this is so fucking complicated. It's their claim. Match for match, their claim. Hold them to it. Demonstrate your fucking claims. It's that simple.
I think it's other people making it complicated when it's not. Bringing in all the conceptual nonsense and everything into it, holding on to biases and things like that. That's why it's complicated.
Yeah.
They just don't want to be honest with themselves.
I think so, Amanda. I think I agree to a certain point, and I think there is a level of incredulity, and that's not an insult term. It's just sometimes people have not considered things. You know, you're a testimony to that, obviously yourself. You know, hearing things for the first time and having that sort of reaction and having to consider it a bit further. But my tolerance just goes, especially when it's the same sort of narrative, the same claim over and over again. I know I have compassion in that regard. I totally hear what you're saying, Amanda. I think there is a percentage of people which, you know, I don't want to chastise that sort of person, but people who are adamant in a particular, you know, philosophical belief that keep pushing their narrative, and you're asking them clearly and concisely, okay, if you're saying it's objective, then demonstrate it objectively for me. Then for me that should tell you what they're actually about. Are they intellectually honest? Are they being, you know, deliberately deceptive? You know?
Yeah, the impossibility of it has been shown with zero quantified or substantiated measure of physical downward acceleration of objects in free fall.
Yeah.
Bill, is it possible that through our indoctrination that certain mental blocks have been established in people better than in others, where their brain will not allow them to continue beyond that point of thought for some reason? Because it doesn't make sense. I mean, you should be able to logically follow the thought that's being offered to you. These people just seem to shut it down and do not want to continue beyond that point. I think that the indoctrination might have affected people differently. Is that possible?
I think personally, you know, I don't think it's so much an indoctrination where it's something that's been, you know, deliberately and repetitively hammered home to them. As I expressed, you know, last week or whatever, to me, you know, just as an individual, people have formulated their own perception, like dropping an object or jumping off or something, and they have this concrete perception of physical downwards motion. And I think that might be the stumbling block from it's a lifetime of their own perception that's not really been hammered home. They've just formulated it and galvanised it from their own experience. I think that may be one of the biggest.
No doubt, because I still see things fall and I still think that they're falling downwards.
Yeah. Well,
until I think about it, you know, and then I realize that that's not what's taking place.
Yeah, it's just because it's visual. It's your visual interpretation. You know.
That's a very strong effect on the mind. That visual effect.
Yeah. Yep.
They say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
And as I say, it's very understandable, but having a lifetime of that perception, to not let go of that and to try and defend it and fight for it. But when you're shown practically, you know, that's not what's going on, then there should be a little bit of of honesty at least in there to think, well, something's not quite right to how I perceive it to be.
Exactly.
I mean, we all know perception, you know, we all know the ground's not rising up, we know that the train tracks don't converge, we know that the street lights are not getting smaller and people are not getting smaller. The world's not how it appears visually. Your eyes in that sense are lying to you if you take it on face value that how things appear is what's actually going on. But a little bit of investigation, you comprehend that that's not actually what's going on. So,
Yeah, the point, I probably didn't make a good case of it, but my point is this, is that we might have quite possibly already proven it can't be electrostatics, is what I was trying to say. You know, I'm just trying to come from a fair ground for people who believe that, to show a demonstration that it doesn't work, you know, and to find out really from you or y'all if that makes sense. Because, like I said, if they've never thought about it, that's one thing. But if they have thought about this argument, then they would have to conclude that everything is falling. Their electrostatic force is making everything fall at the same rate. So that's why I said if we reverse the polarity and take a bunch of different things that could go up, they would have to rise at the same rate. And I don't think they do. Is my point.
mm-hmm.
And but I'm just really trying to think of any other tests, you know, that we could demonstrate that fact. And the small possibility that I'm wrong, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't see how it could be.
Electrostatics would have no effect on something like wood, right?
No, it works on everything,
It works on
including gases. But I don't think it works. I don't think it can work. I don't see how in the world it could work evenly on everything. I don't see how that's even possible.
But as I've said before, you know, air, yeah, you can blow air, it will act and affect all matter, including air, water, wood, iron. I mean, I can use air to levitate things off the ground. It's just a parlour trick. It's irrelevant to, you know, the accelerometer and that claim of it all uniformly moving in relationship to each other. You know, but I get what you're saying, Brian, and you know, maybe I misunderstood you. You know, fine, and my mind's always open, but at this moment in time, reality is reality. I know fine well force cannot act the way it's been professed and claimed that it can act, and that I don't see how that's ever going to change, unless somebody can devise a force or access a force and that they can demonstrate. Then my mind will be open to that possibility that they could, but you know, it's not in my reality. I don't see a force, and I don't know how it would function.
That's right where I'm at, Dale. I'm like, if they could just show me something, man. They showed me something to begin with to get me off the side of there being no vector. Like I've said before, being honest, you know, I argued against Glover's, for just density, just relative density, you know, for quite a while. I never even heard this argument except for one day, years and years ago before I first joined. But so, you know, I did hear they did convince me there is definitely a vector. There's definitely up and down's different than any other direction, for sure, just naturally. And so I had to come to the conclusion that there's something doing it. And then so that's what got me into the electrostatic thing. And then when I heard your argument, and I looked at it and I was like, damn, that makes sense. And then the more I looked into it, it just really makes more sense. It's more demonstrable. But but even if I'm not 100%, I will say 100% for sure that there's no way to disprove your stance at all. Period. And so I'm at the point where I want to test even the small possibility of electrostatics. Just thinking some people might follow in just logical footsteps, not necessarily my footsteps, but just the footsteps of logic itself. And it's hard to think of a test, man. But like I said, it may have already been done. I might get me a Van de Graaff generator and do some tests.
If you find
show these people, what would you say?
If you find it, or you get
motion causes the electrostatic, right? The motion when you walk across the carpet, you create that electrostatic. You can't have the electrostatic without motion, correct?
That's generated by friction, exactly.
Friction.
I think density is possibly caused by some type of force like that. But yeah, that's not really what we're talking about, though, is it?
Well, I've said that openly, Brian. You know, we've got aspects of reality, including the loss of momentum. We've got matter in various forms and what we call density, which is just conceptual, ideas of mass in a particular volume. There's many questions still unanswered. Why does matter have a particular form? What gives it its form? What sustains it in its form? As I tried to express to these people before, electrostatics will play a role. It just is not responsible for the claims that they're claiming and want it to do. That's all. At no point has it ever been omitted or hand waved away by me or anybody here.
I watched a few videos that show that sound pretty much makes every shape that exists, and I think it's going on about electrostatics as well. The higher the number, the denser the object until it gets so high that it turns into like an oil or a liquid. So I think the lower the number, it's like a gas, if you know what I mean. I can't remember what video it was. I wasn't really paying too much attention. That's probably why it just come out like mumbo jumbo there. But yeah.
I've seen a pretty interesting video a long time ago where they had this little fish tank or like a little aquarium, and they had some water in there, and they had some air in there, and they had a little boat, like a little toy boat, and it's floating. And they start vibrating this thing at a certain rate, probably about the frequency of like maybe a sawzall or something like that. Pretty fast, but not like ridiculously fast, like mechanical vibration. And they turn it upside down, and the water stayed on top. It was the weirdest thing. And not only that, the freaking boat turned upside down and was floating on the water with its sail, like a little plastic sail, pointing down, like it was floating upwards on the water, dude, from the vibration. I was tripping, dude. It's in a couple old videos of mine. I might pull it up. It's interesting as shit, dude.
Post.
Yeah, I shared it a while ago. They inverted it because of motion.
Yep.
I thought that was the funniest thing, man. Like, what? It's so counterintuitive, man.
See,
the water is one thing. The little boat floating upside down and just was the icing on the cake.
See, that's the thing that they overlook. A lot of them, how all we ever detect is change, right? So can anybody, and I'm putting this out there, hypothetical, answer if you like. Can anybody highlight any sort of change without motion?
No. And a point I left out is everything that they did in that video is happening in the existing vector. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't even know if that couldn't even work in free fall. You know what I'm saying? If they tried that thing in free fall, it couldn't work because there'd be no displacement at all. But it's still pretty cool to watch, though, man. Answer your question, Dale? No, I don't. Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Even in the Bible, it says,
I know you don't want to talk about the Bible, but just quickly, it says, and then God said, you know what I mean? And then if you look at that experiment, the star in the jar experiment, where they pass two signals through a spherical glass of fluid, water, they actually create light inside of the water.
Yeah.
So even that, the vibration can create light. I'm sure it can create pretty much everything at that point.
Well, that's it,
Can I just touch on what Brian said about that device and how it inverted stuff? It would do this in free fall. It may not do the same, but it absolutely would act upon the substances if it was vibrating in the way that they did it, shaking it back and forth, because it's exactly how zero-G mass measurement device works. Applying a known force back and forth to a known quantity of substance gives a measure. So it may not work the same, but yes, it would still act on the substance.
Your question raised a question inside of me. I was wondering, how do they, in a Tesla car, change the battery power into actual motion in the transmission?
What do you mean? It's a motion. It's all motion.
Yeah, but I mean, how do they do they power a motor with the power and then?
Well, the way that I remember it being taught was to think about it like water flowing, Nellis. So if you've got like water pressure in a small, like, narrow valve, right, then you're going to get so much flow coming through there. If you increase the diameter of that channel, then you're going to allow more to flow through. So, you know, looking at like you're increasing power.
Is he asking just how basic the basic battery power works to rotate things? Is that what you're asking?
I think he's asking how they increase the power.
No, I think what I'm asking, what I'm just wondering, is how do they get the power from the battery to rotate something? Because they're obviously rotating some, you know, maybe it's a shaft, I don't know, transmission.
Magnetic field, right? The batteries put a magnetic field with coils. They put a magnetic field in motion, and that's where it comes from. Yeah, I mean, just a basic answer. Moving magnetic fields.
So like different motors and that.
See, the beauty of this is once you put your mind to everything, you can comprehend things from that basic premise that there's always going to be motion at play. Something's moving towards something else and having a knock-on effect. It's just that, you know, endless cycle of cause and effect, you know, regardless of what you look at.
Did anybody else notice a delay between the video and the audio on Dell's stream? Or is it just me?
There's always going to be a delay.
No, I mean, like, actually, when you're watching directly, there is the voice comes early, and then the video is a little bit later. But it might be just my tablet.
Even before Discord, I was noticing the same thing, Nellis.
No, you're right, Nellis. I just checked it. There it is. I don't know if it's while I'm on live that's creating that, but I don't know on the playback once I'm off if it actually is synced up.
I've seen it before, so we could go back into the settings after you're done and see if there's anything to be improved.
Yeah. No worries, mate.
It looks like Mr. Cheswick is trying to get in. He doesn't want to use his phone number, so he's going to try his email.
Yeah, no worries.
But maybe he'll be coming in a second, let's hope.
Because I never had to put a phone number when I joined onto Discord, so...
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it offers you a chance to do it via phone or email, doesn't it, I think?
Can you set a temporary email? You don't even have to use your real one.
Just create a burner email, any email, and then yeah.
But these days you have these only receive email services. Some of them are free up to a certain amount, and then you can just use one of those. You just can't use the email to send email.
I think one of the safest emails at the moment is at Proton Mail. I think that's one of the best ones to use.
You can see level-headed William is in the live.
Yeah, I just dragged him in.
Alright.
I see
Is
Nat.
he a member or should I make it?
Yeah, Natalie also, if you can, Nellis, level-headed Natalie there.
Yeah, she's already a member. I did that a few days ago. I saw her in the new members thing, so I recognized it. And let me see, edit roles for William. Okay, here we go. So if William goes back and joins again, he can speak. Just go into a different channel, doesn't matter.
Just drop out for a second, William, and then come back in and you'll be able to speak. We'll be able to hear you.
I'll say one last thing on that point before I really just I'm exhausted, really. Is I don't think that the people, I don't know how many there are who believe in the dielectric acceleration idea, but I don't think that the majority of them have understand or have even thought of the point that it would have to be a force pulling everything down at the exact same rate, no matter the size, no matter the density. The way Dell described it as a magical force is, that's really as good a way as any to describe it. It would have to be some kind of magical force, man. They'd have to pull everything down at the exact same rate to get no displacement. That's a tough one to get past, man. For my mind, it was at least.
Thinking of the magnetic river, it's fucking fascinating. Braithwaite, what's his name?
Eric Laithwaite.
Oh yeah, that was fascinating.
Apparently the UK government rejected that and he sold it to Japan, which is fucking bizarre.
Now they've got one of those magnetic trains, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
And they're bloody fast too.
Yeah.
What do you think, a magnetic drain?
Train.
No, magnetic train. Train with a T.
I got you, train.
He invented the maglev, Brian. You know the maglev train?
Yep.
Have you never looked at Eric Laithwaite's stuff, Brian?
Yes, absolutely. That's why that guy's question confused me. Like, he's saying, I thought that's what he was asking, just like a basic concept about how they turn battery power into movement. And I was wondering, is that a genuine question, or is he like testing us, or because so I just gave a basic answer. You just use the battery power to rotate a magnetic field and so on. He didn't really respond, so I didn't know really where to go from there.
Because I'm familiar with how petrol engine works. How the piston motion and then crankshaft. Forgot the name. The one with the lobes on it. The
Flywheel?
Camshaft.
No.
Camshaft.
Yeah, the crankshaft. Yeah.
No, there's a crankshaft and then your cranks, your bolting. Starts with the battery.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, so I know exactly the chain of events in the petrol engine, but my brain was just like, how the fuck did they do it in an electric car? It was a genuine question.
It's just the same
You don't know
principles.
how a DC motor works? You never looked into it? Yeah, you should look into it, dude.
It's the body, and there's a
it's
rotor,
fascinating.
and the body presses on the rotor.
Yeah, they what they do is they alternate the polarity with coils of wire, and just make them positive, negative, or north, south, whatever you want to call it, and mount them coils to something that's free to spin. So it just follows the magnetic field around, basically. There's so many different ways to do it, so I don't want to just get bogged down. I'm just trying to tell you the concept. Just a rotating magnetic field. So alternating current, it does it automatically with north-south. There is no north-south in the plug in your wall. They're both. But DC is a little bit different. It's not quite as easy. Well, some would say that you have to do it. You have to manipulate it more in the setup itself. You got to alternate them yourself. DC
Was that standing for direct current, or what was it?
Yeah. Direct current. The one that doesn't shock you. The one that doesn't like to travel long distances.
Ship Bear, I've added you as a member, so you should be able to speak if you want to. Oh, he just left.
Can William open his mic, or?
Yeah, welcome to Natalie and William. They're good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both members, so.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I got nice.
Yeah.
Hi. Hey, how's everyone doing? just basically joined just to see how this works and just to get like a feel for it. You know, not really. Um, just mainly wanted to listen in, but if I have something to say, I'll jump in for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I've been enjoying your content, William. Anyway, and
Alright.
I know you got. Yeah, I was watching that one where you're having a bit of issues with the law enforcement.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
pretty
funny.
crazy out here, yeah.
Yeah, you
If
should-
you're a public, they can't do anything.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Well, they did actually do something. That's the thing. So they're making it up as they go along. But there's always the one statement that all the people make that are tested. I don't know. They're sort of changing it, but there's no expectation of privacy in public. That's the sort of statement you're supposed to make.
Yeah.
But they started to change it now, though. So especially from state to state, because all these police forces, they're getting memos where they're going, look, these people, I forget the name of it now, but First Amendment audit or something like that. They know they're testing people, and they're like, we need to change this law.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Sounds.
Nice one. Well, obviously you're not on the Discord thing with everybody else, so I'm just on this Google Meet thing.
Alright, yeah. It was basically saying like I've got to give me phone number to verify like to partake in that, like so.
No worries. So what is it that's your issue?
I said I'm trying to turn YouTube down.
Yeah, you better turn YouTube off, aye.
Yeah. Right, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, basically, mate, if you kind of know my stance, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't claim anything, you know what I mean? I don't claim to know this or that. So, but I've got a shitload of questions, if you know what I mean, and I kind of, like I get attacked a lot, or not just me, you know, I tend to see it that people get attacked if they don't agree, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I can just pull that card out my hat as well, because I've been attacked. The thing is, Cheswick, I didn't attack anybody when I brought this to the table, did I?
not that I can call it, no.
Right, so the reaction was to attack me, and all I've done since then is defend myself and retaliate. Would you agree?
I'd say like, it's a bit of both. Like, I'm not sure who started it, you mean, or
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. When I brought this to the table, did I attack anybody?
no, mate, not that I can call it.
Right, that's the facts. So the attacking came because of what I brought to the table.
Yeah, it's a fair point, mate.
Well, that's the reality. That's just the chronology of what actually happened. Anybody can go and see that when I brought this to the table, at no point was I attacking anybody. I just merely presented the physics of what was going on, and from there it's just descended into all-out attack every time I go anywhere. So we don't need to play that game of who gets attacked and who doesn't. That's YouTube, and that's what happens. I think what's more relevant is what is it that you're not comprehending, or you think I'm wrong about. I mean,
Oh, right, yeah, it's not that I think you're wrong, right? I'm kind of like interested in it, if you mean, but it's not making sense in my head. Now, I've openly admitted, right, a lot of the things that you guys talk about, right, I haven't got the first fucking clue what the hell, this echo that being that I don't know what any of that shit means, what you mean, but, right, I'm just a normal fucking guy, so picture me, average 2.4 guy on the streets, I got kicked out of school at 13, if you know what I mean, so all that fucking science terminology and all that shit goes right over my head, but since I've been involved in this, I'm trying to learn, if you know what I mean, so that's the perspective I come from. I'm trying to learn, but it's got to make sense in my head, if you mean, so I can't commit to something that isn't making sense.
Right, well,
What
it's dead simple. You can make sense of it because you can demonstrate it to yourself. So it started for me with the claim of a physical downwards acceleration. So, you know, when I take an accelerometer and I actually accelerate the accelerometer downwards, it detects the acceleration. But yet, when I let it go into free fall, it doesn't detect any acceleration when there's a claim that there is an acceleration. So, from a globe Earth, it's double speak, and from a stationary flat Earth, it's the same double speak, because the accelerometer shows you that in any vector that you accelerate it in, it shows you that there's going to be an acceleration there. But yet, in free fall, there is no acceleration. So from my position, you know, when it's accelerated, the air moves towards the direction of acceleration. So if you've got the vessel in your hand and you accelerate it to your left, the air moves through the medium towards that direction, so that now the water will be at the back and the air will be at the front. So it's that simple. So how then can you rectify the claim of downwards acceleration without detecting the downwards acceleration?
Well, see, right, that's not the angle, mate, that I'm coming at it from. Right, I'm coming at it from an angle of trying to understand how the Earth is rising up. So, from my perspective now, correct me if I'm kind of wrong on this, right? But my understanding of it is that there's a theory that is being attached to a practical experiment. You know what I mean? That's how I kind of see it. So to give you a kind of an example, like, you know, fire is hot because fucking, like, you know, there's stars in the sky 5,000 light years away, whatever. You know what I mean? So if somebody makes that claim to me, then, like, in my head, I'm trying to think, well, how does that relate to fire being hot? You know what I mean? Or picture it. Yeah, right. I'll try and give you like a better kind of example, because that was pretty shit, right? Picture there's 100 people in a field, right, on trampolines, yeah, and they're all bouncing at different times. So what I'm trying to work out in my head is, so picture me, I'm standing there, right, I'm watching these 100 people bouncing on trampolines on a field, and then I'm thinking, how the fuck is the Earth rising up if they're all moving up and down at different times? You know what I mean? It's like, I can't get my head.
Well, it's easy to get past that one, Mr. Cheswick. So if you had a big enough elevator, say in, you know, New York, in some building that was going upwards, and you had a trampoline in there, or you had a few trampolines and people were bouncing, they're all still moving up with the elevator, but bouncing up and doing it at different times.
So you're saying because the elevator is in constant motion,
No, I'm addressing your point that you're saying you don't understand. Well, you understand that when if there's 10 trampolines in an elevator and 10 people on those trampolines and the elevator's moving up at a constant rate, everybody's bouncing at a different time, but they're all still moving up with the elevator.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so to help you to comprehend, you know, why I came to the conclusion that it's the Earth that's causing the, you know, what we see. It's simple. If you've got a glass of water in front of you right now or something, and there's an air bubble rising through that water, right, then matter, do you agree that matter cannot move on its own?
See, like, these are the things that I don't understand.
Well, it's simple. Well, if you put a rock on the ground, will it move?
If I just put it on the ground, you mean?
Aye, will a rock move if of itself? Will it just move spontaneously?
No.
Right. So matter doesn't move unless something makes it move. You understand that? Surely you must comprehend the simplicity of that, right?
Okay.
So if an air bubble's rising through water, that's matter, right? It's moving in a particular direction. So we know that something has to be making it move, which means something outside of the air itself is making it move. Right? You understand so far?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So in this scenario then it would be the water that's pushing the air upwards. Right? You understand so far?
Yeah. That makes sense.
So the water, again, as matter, cannot do anything. So something's pushing the water so that it can push the air. So what's pushing the water?
I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's
these are things I'm trying to learn.
That's what I'm saying to you. It's only pushing the air when it's connected to the earth. So that to me, the water's being pushed by the earth, which is in turn pushing the air and showing it the direction that it's to go. And I can substantiate that because I can then take the vessel with the water and the air in it, and I accelerate it in another direction, and I see the same thing happening. So if I've got an air bubble rising, I know that it's the water pushing the air upwards because the Earth's pushing on it, or the vessel's pushing it in that direction. Now if I accelerate it downwards, the opposite happens. The water's now towards the sky and the air towards the ground. And if the air bubble's in the water, the air bubble is now travelling through the water towards the ground because it correlates to the direction of travel. So it's a chain reaction that happens because matter cannot move itself. So if you've got matter moving, it's because something external to it's making it move. And it's making it move in the direction that it's being pushed in.
Right, okay, so let's say, hypothetically then, right, if you replaced the air bubble for, say, a snooker ball or something like that, would you get the same result?
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, would that same result still apply if you dropped the bottle from, say, the top of the Empire State Building? Would you still get that same kind of result?
Yes, the air bubble won't rise, dense things won't sink anymore. Nothing happens because there's nothing external pushing it in any direction.
Right. Okay, see, mate, I'm just not clued up enough, mate, to sort of like be able to mount any kind of response, if you know what I mean, because I'm not like educated or informed enough, if you know what I mean. So you've got to try and picture from my perspective, but right, not only from my perspective, right, just picture there's 500 million people out there more like me who just don't understand these kind of things, mate, if you mean. But right, I'd say, right, the way to sort of bring people on board is to not, like, you know what I mean, lose our kind of rag and fall out with each other and that kind of thing. Like, you know,
well, as I said at the start, Mr. Cheswick, you know, I don't know what your real name is, but you know, I never presented this as an attack. I was attacked because of what I presented, and from then I've just tried to defend it and give a little bit back. And in the same turn, talking about divisiveness and we shouldn't be behaving like this, you're openly admitting that you don't know enough, but yet I see you actively going against it. So if you don't know, remember I done this with what'd you call him, Seek Truth, Speak Truth, who acted the same. Now I'm not saying you're acting, that's not what I'm suggesting, but he would say things like, I don't understand, right, but yet will make assertive statements about things that he claims he doesn't understand. So that doesn't jive with me. If I don't understand something, I don't have the ability to say nay or yea.
Yeah, well, honestly, mate, that is my position. It's like, you know, like, I don't discourage, like, you know, the research into it, if you know what I mean. But you're
contributing to a bandwagon of ignorance when you're going about chats, making ridicule statements and laughing at things that you profess you don't comprehend.
Yeah, well, like, okay, yeah, that's a fair point, but you can't know me anyway, mate. Like, you know, that's what I can't do on here, isn't it?
Well,
I just take it around, if you know what I mean, so.
Well, but I don't see you taking a piss out of station there.
Well, right, I'm sure if in my head it became, like, clear that the Earth is rising up, then yeah, like, you know, that's fucking fair game, if you know what I mean.
But if you've not established that it's one or the other, and you say you're just in it for a laugh, then it would be a balance that you would be ridiculing stationary Earth as well as rising Earth then. But
well, yeah,
but you don't.
Well, yeah. That's because, like, to the best of my knowledge, if you know what I mean, as it currently stands, like, the Earth, to me, appears to be stationary, you know what I mean? So that is, like, the best of my knowledge. Now, that is not to say that, like, I'm wrong on it, if you know what I mean. I'm totally open to being kind of wrong, but it's going to take more, if you know what I mean, to convince, say, a fucking numbskull like me, if you know what I mean.
Well, again, you're putting those boundaries. So then I would have to say, well, what is it that you require? I'm not here to convince you. Don't get me wrong, but what is it that you're missing? What is it that you require? Because if you obviously know.
See, yeah, look, right, when I first came into all this, right, like, I came from, like, you know, wow, space is amazing, all that kind of shit, string theory, wow, yeah, and then you come across, like, flat earth, and like, what the fuck is this? this isn't making sense. You know what I mean? So I'm coming into this kind of like that. You know what I mean? I came into flat earth with zero knowledge of like science and all. So I had to learn all that shit. You know what I mean? I had to get it to make sense in my head. But what made sense to me was, right, I can't detect the spin, I can't measure it, then the oceans, there's fucking no curvature, all that stuff made sense because I can see it, I can go outside in the real world, I can see ships going out of my perspective, so that made sense. But what I can't see is the earth rising up, and I can't experience it. So for myself, personally, now, I'm not saying I'm right, but that's just how I can't see it.
So I asked you that question before. So if I take it from that position, right, that to you it feels and appears that it's stationary, right? What I'm then asking you is, okay, from your position then, what would you expect to be experiencing if it was moving upwards?
Well, I kind of expect to be able to see it and to feel it.
Well, you can feel it, but how would you see it? How would you see it?
Because there must be some kind of experiments where, like, you know, you can kind of say jump out of a plane at different kind of times and altitudes, then you have a person on the ground observing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. Well, that's what I'm saying to you. You're talking about optics. So you know, coming into the flat Earth that train tracks don't converge. That's just how it appears, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when you let an object go, it's okay to assume and think that object goes down, right? So then you can go and test it and say, right, well, if there's an actual acceleration down, then this accelerometer will detect it because that's what an accelerometer does. So then you test with your accelerometer that when you let it go, it doesn't detect that it's accelerating down. So then you know that it's not accelerating down.
So what is the other possible explanation then?
Well, if you look at like buoyancy and density, you know, something sinking or appearing to go down and something rising within a medium, right? You can see that happening in front of you when you're sitting on the earth, right? Now as that air bubble's rising and you let the vessel go, the air bubble stops rising through the water.
Yeah, which is strange. You know what I mean? Like you know, that's what sort of caught me attention, and that's what's kept me interested in the topic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because that's what I'm trying to explain to you. The air bubble's only moving because the water's been moved and the water's pushing the air bubble in a particular direction. So if the water's being accelerated in a particular direction, the air will show you because it will move through the water the direction of the acceleration. So in free fall, the air bubble's not moving anywhere, it's staying where it was. So you know that there's no force acting, there's no acceleration at play.
Yeah, see, that makes sense, like.
Right, that's the whole point. That's what I've been trying to explain for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, can you kind of see it from my perspective, right? Totally fucking scientifically illiterate. Yeah.
I am.
Down school at 13, so I'm trying to learn.
It's not just that you weren't at school, Mr. Cheswick. It's the fact that, you know, all of us have lived a life of this perception of up and down. You know, like we jump off of things, we let things go, and we've all had this perception that things move down, right? And I totally get that. It's counterintuitive when it's put to you because your whole life has had this assumption that things physically go down. So I can get it, you know, from that position. But when we get into the realms of physics and demonstration and detection, then that's when we should be letting go of these, you know, formulated perceptions of how things appear and trying to establish what's actually going on. Just like the train tracks, you don't assume that a train track's converging because you know physically you can measure the gap between it and it's the same the whole distance. So it's the same in this regard. You've assumed there's downwards acceleration, go and test to see if it's the case and you'll find that there is none.
Well, yeah, mate, you know, I'm kind of convinced by, say, your experiments, Will's experiments, because, like, you know, you can't really argue with the experiments. My only, like, sort of, I can put it, like, it's like, I wouldn't call it a gripe, but my sort of grievance with it, like, it seems to be that there's a theory attached to the practical experiment. I mean, that's how I see it at this present moment in time. Now, that's not to say that could change over time, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think the word theory, it's a rational conclusion. As I say, if I'm watching an air bubble rise and I put it in free fall and the air bubble stops rising, and then and then it connects to the earth again, and the air bubble continues then its motion through the water. That's a logical, rational conclusion that it's when it's connected to the earth, that's where the force is coming from. And again, I can back it because I can change the direction, applying motion, and I will see a change correlated to that motion. So it's a conclusion, it's not a theory.
Yeah. Okay, right. So another sticking point. Just say you change the medium, right? So just say you never done it in water. So imagine you had a tube filled with air.
Yeah.
Would you get the same results?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got an empty vessel with just air in it, and you've got like a weight attached to a magnet, and you disconnect the weight from the magnet, and at the same time you let the bottle go, then it'll just appear that they're all moving in the same, the weight won't hit the bottom of the bottle.
So, let's just say for instance it's a pool bottle, yeah? So you put a pool bottle in a tube, let it go, what's going to happen? A tube of air, yeah?
Yeah. Well, you know, if the tube's decelerating at a different rate from the ball, then you're going to get a difference, you'll see a change, you know? But
so would you get the same results as you would with the air bubble, or would the results be different, you know what I mean?
No, the air bubble won't move anywhere because there's nothing to tell it where to move.
I'm confused, mate. That's probably down to my lack of understanding, you know what I mean?
Well, I'll ask. All you can do is ask questions. So if I've got the vessel and the air bubbles rising through the medium, and I let it go into free fall, and the air bubble stops rising through the medium, what do you think happened?
I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like I can only guess from an uneducated, ill-informed fucking opinion. If you know what I mean, which isn't really. So
that's my gripe with stationary earthers and globe earthers. When at the moment I do that, they claim that everything accelerates at the same rate. So you've got stationary flat earthers claiming the exact same thing as a globe earther, right? But they have nothing to justify such a claim because force cannot do that to matter. You cannot use force to accelerate gas, liquid and solid without that separation happening. At every single time they will displace. So my gripe is there that there's a special pleading for a theory, a special type of theory, a special type of circumstances that's not accessible to you and I, that's not just demonstrable to you and I. So, the problem lies clearly with the people making pseudoscientific claims that they cannot back up and demonstrate. I can demonstrate my claims.
Well, yeah, mate, and I don't dispute that at all. Like, the only thing for me personally, honestly, I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. Like, I'm the old man. I think for myself, and I'm not ashamed to be wrong. You know what I mean? Or to make a fucking idiot out of myself. I don't really care about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just interested in now that we've all sort of uncovered the globe is bullshit. Then my next thing is, okay, then the globe is bullshit, then where the fuck are we? You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to work out that. You know what I mean? And then, there was things like a push pull argument, but you know what? That took me about a month to get the hang of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You understand that motion happens because something pushes on something else, and that's why I went through that process. So, I mean, it's fine, I commend that. You should never be pushed in any direction by people's consensus or people's opinions of you. We all have to be able to bear our own ignorance. There's things that I don't comprehend and don't know about, and I'm not ashamed to show that. But as I say, I don't muddy the waters by having a lack of knowledge of something and then, making statements for or against because I don't know enough.
Yeah. So that's a fair point, like.
Yeah. And as I say, I can have a conversation with anybody, if it's amicable and it's respectful, then the same thing happens in return. It's not a personal thing. We're talking about the objective world, and the same as I've done for the very first day, everything's based in the practical and nothing's changed,
Well, that's it, mate. And I think that's what's kept me interested in it, is that your previous kind of work over the last 10 years, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm thinking Dell's like 99 times out of 100, mate, you're fucking spot on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I'm thinking, like, why is it not sticking with me? You know what I mean? Like, what is like?
Because I think
holding me back, you know what I mean?
well, I would suggest, and I may be wrong, don't take this as a slant, but I think you're affected by peer pressure, to be honest with you. I think you've aligned yourself with certain people who have that attitude, and you don't want to be pushed aside from these people. You don't want to.
I can guarantee it on that. Like I've always been like my own man. You know what I mean? Like me kind of motto is neither a leader nor a follower be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to lead. I don't want to be fucking led. If you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, I mean, do you comprehend then? Look, I mean, let's just leave it at this. If you can comprehend, if you're a stationary earther, when I let the vessel go, a stationary earth requires that the gas, the liquid, and the solid all accelerate down at the same time, right? And if you're a globe earther, that's the exact same. You have to say that it's all accelerating down at the same time. Do you accept that?
I don't really understand it, mate.
Well, it's simple. If I'm holding a bottle and I accelerate it down, the water goes to the top of the bottle and the air goes to the bottom. You accept that? Yep.
Well, that's like, you can't deny that, because
Right.
that's what the experiment is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But when I let it go in free fall, that doesn't happen while there's a claim that it's accelerating. You understand so far?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So that in that claim then, the air and the water in the bottle must all be accelerating at the same time, because when I actually accelerate it, it shifts, the water goes to the top and the air goes to the bottom. But they're claiming that it's all accelerating down at the same rate and there's no displacement of any of it. Right? So that's where the problem is. They're claiming something that's not real. So if you're going to say they are stationary, that's your default claim. It has to be, which is pseudoscientific. It's not demonstrable, and it flies in the face of actual downwards acceleration.
So are you kind of saying that that people can't demonstrate that the Earth is stationary?
Well, again, if I let that vessel go on a stationary Earth, when I'm holding the bottle, the Earth's stationary, I'm stationary, the bottle's stationary, the air's stationary, and the water's stationary. So when I let it go, they're claiming that now it moves from stationary to moving, which is an acceleration, but it doesn't detect that movement.
Yeah, so something strange is happening. Yeah, I can definitely get that. But I just can't work out why, if you know what I mean?
No, because the strange thing that's happening is that it's a claim that's not real. So again, if you actually accelerate it down, it displaces. So as I says to you, if you know that when the airs goes the direction of the force, right? So when you've got a vessel sitting, you've got water at the bottom and air at the top, right? Now if I accelerate it upwards, nothing changes because it's already displaced in that vector. But if I accelerate it down, it changes. It goes for the opposite, the water at the top and the air at the bottom.
Right, okay, so are you kind of saying then that there's a difference between, like, just say for instance, letting the bottle go and then accelerating the bottle, yeah?
Well, both are, if I accelerate the bottle down, that's an acceleration. Flat earthers and globe earthers claim when I just let the bottle go that it's accelerating down. So it's both are accelerations, but one shows you an acceleration, the other one doesn't.
Yeah, see, I can't break it out in my head, but I'm going to try, if you know what I mean, so you're going to have to leave me with it.
Oh, no worries. That's fine. No worries. Cheers for the chat, mate. I'll let you go on with it and see how you go.
Yeah, well, I'll keep kind of fucking plugging away at it, if you know what I mean, yeah?
No worries, mate. No worries.
That's alright, dude.
Cool. Cheers for the chat. Right, take it easy, mate.
Alright, man. Slot up.
What time are we on here? I'll go back to the Discord quick, see what's happening.
having nothing left to lose.
Yeah, when you're at that point, that's it. It's got to
That
be
point.
you're at that point. How could you reason with a man that has no reason to live?
Oh,
He's
look
still
at
on?
that, look at that.
Are you still on?
It's a famous quote by a good rapper.
Sorry.
Right, cheers everybody.
I had no idea what you were talking about, Dale.
No, sorry, Emma's just came in with my dinner there. I'm going to scoot off of here, so appreciate everybody's time. I'll catch you all very soon.